Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. We have a special guest with us, Miss Jacqueline Boland. She's a registered nurse as well as an author. She's the author of A Broken Twig Can Sprout. Jacqueline will be sharing with us a very heartfelt story of her and her childhood as well. But the part that touched me the most was when she stated that a loved one, when she was feeling grief, felt nothing but anger towards her. And I definitely can't wait to hear this story. Jacqueline, how are you, first of all?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited to be here with you today.
No problem. Thank you so much. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started on this journey.
Okay. So, I'm Jackie. I'm a registered nurse. I had a very interesting childhood where I kind of grew up in two worlds. That's the only way I can explain it. I was primarily raised by my great grandmother, who was super loving and kind. She was, my lifesaver.
Mhm.
Um, but I had this whole other series of things that happened that were very traumatic. Both of my parents were drug addicted, and my mom was murdered when I was 7. 11 months later, my dad passed away. So that was very difficult. I remember the police coming to my house to tell my grandmother they found her. At first, they didn't know. They were trying to identify her first, so that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
They came and showed my grandma pictures. But I would have to say the hardest thing that I dealt with growing up was having a family member that I love very much and actually still love to this day, um, but who was just very emotionally abusive. And that, because my mom passed away, that longing that I had um, to have a connection with her just made the abuse even worse. She, when I was younger, she was very upset that I was the sad kid, that I was sad, because I didn't have my mom and my dad, and she would oftentimes get angry when she would see that I was grieving. Um,
Mhm.
so that was very difficult for me growing up.
Wow. And so, how old were you again?
I was 7 years old when my mom passed, and 8 when my dad passed. But actually, when I was 6 months old, my mom became homeless. So I actually lost my mom in a sense when I was a baby because my grandma took me away from her as a baby.
Wow.
Um, yeah,
Okay. So, when you were 8, you're still trying to comprehend and grasp everything that happened. You're
yeah,
trying to understand your emotions and then understand the emotions that you're feeling from your loved one when it was nothing but anger. So there's just no self concept as to what's going on.
exactly. Like, first of all, when I was like 5 or 6, my mom, she was addicted to crack cocaine. So she would come to my grandmother's house, and my grandma was very loving. My grandma would always let her come in, take a bath, get something to eat because she would be so dirty from the streets. So as a 5 or 6 year old, I was even just trying to understand that. I was trying to understand, why was she on drugs? Why, she would be disoriented or whatever when she would come over. So, there was a lot of things I was trying to understand that was quite difficult.
And so, what did you do to cope when you were that age?
Sorry.
You're fine.
Forgot to put my phone on sleep. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, what did you do to try and cope? Like, where did you have someone at that age at that time?
So this is where it becomes complicated because this family member that was abusive, I often looked to her. Like, I remember many times where I just wanted her to hug me.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I grew up in the projects, and one time someone threw a brick through our window.
Hmm.
Craziness. And the brick came through my bedroom window, glass, spread everywhere. And my grandmother called this family member, told her what happened. She came over, and I remember I was really scared, and like I was nervous, and the police was there. Just the whole situation was nerve wracking, and I remember I just wanted her to hug me like in that moment, and I remember she was so stern with me, and she's like, "Go put your shoes on. We're going outside." Like she was always so stern, and I remember I just wanted just to be loved in that moment. So it was very difficult for me growing up. My grandmother, on the other hand, she was very loving, and I think that was my saving grace.
Mhm.
Um, but because this family member was younger, I think that was the reason why I looked more for the motherliness in her because she was younger, because she was, on age with my mom.
Mhm.
My grandma was my grandma, so grandma, she had grandma's love, but I looked for the motherliness in the other family member, but she was very abusive, so it was difficult.
Wow. So the age difference between the loved one that you were speaking of that had the anger towards you, what was the age difference from you two?
When I was born, she was 25, so we're 25 years
Okay.
apart. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's quite a bit of an age gap. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, so I
Um,
really looked up to her. And it, as I got older, um, it became more complicated. Like, I remember always just trying to understand why. Like, why is this dynamic like this? Why are you not kind? Like, it was very difficult to understand. Yeah.
and do you have a relationship with them now?
No. So, unfortunately, my grandmother, who loved me, she passed away during COVID. She
Mhm.
was diagnosed with breast cancer at 101. And what I realize now is that my grandmother, as probably most grandmothers are, was the glue of the family.
Yeah.
So when she was alive, it gave us a reason to see each other, so to speak.
Right.
When she would come to grandma's house, I would see her. Um, After my grandmother passed away, um, you know, I tried to explain to her how she's made me feel all these years. I wrote her a letter, and I think in my heart of hearts, I was, wishing for an apology or some sort of acknowledgement, or I didn't mean it, something. So in response to that letter, she didn't talk to me for 2 years.
Wow.
And yeah, and during those 2 years, I like essentially had a mental break. I ended up in the emergency room. I regretted everything that I said. Spent so many hours just thinking. I remember telling the doctor, I think I killed her. Like that's how strong it impacted me emotionally. I thought maybe my words were too strong, and
Yeah.
the doctor was like, "No, you did not kill her."
Yeah.
I had to have so much therapy to cope with what has happened, and thankfully, I'm now at a level place, but it did damage me a lot. Like her not responding to the letter damaged me quite a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that still you still feel that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
And
have a lot more sunnier days.
yeah.
Um, but every now and then, like, my grandma was so loving that never in my life could I imagine that I would tell someone you hurt me and they not respond. I didn't even think that was an option when I wrote her the letter because otherwise I wouldn't have written it.
Yeah.
Um, when she finally did respond 2 years later, she said that she didn't know what I was talking about, and essentially, just said like that it was just my perspective. It was in my head. I mean, it was very difficult, and it was at that moment where I realized, okay, we cannot have a relationship because if you don't know what you did wrong, if you can't acknowledge what you did was wrong, then the abuse cycle is just going to continue if there's no change. So we don't have a relationship anymore.
That I get. Yeah. And one, I definitely have to say it's a blessing that your grandmother lived to be 101.
Yeah,
That's
103. She got
oh,
diagnosed with cancer at 101, and she
uh,
lived for about 18 months. Yeah.
oh my goodness, she was 103. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
definitely a blessing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So tell us this journey on how you decided that you wanted to be a nurse and becoming a nurse and then writing your book.
Okay, so I think naturally I'm just very empathic. Um,
Yeah.
And I think because of all the losses and experiences that I've had, um, I'm just naturally a caring person. I hate to see people suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what it feels like to be in pain, just want someone to love you. So nursing just came very naturally to me.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, we had a career day, and we had a nurse come to school and say, if you really care about people, you should be a nurse. So she did her job. She got me to be a nurse. After that, I knew I wanted to be a nurse. And so I've been a nurse for about 16 years. Um, I've always wanted to be an author, never thought that it could ever really happen. But now with self-publishing is not as difficult as
Right.
one would think to write a book. And so um in my healing journey of after I wrote this letter, to my loved one saying that she hurt me and then her not responding, it caused only thing I can explain it caused like an explosion in my head where I started being filled with guilt and panic and shame and
Mm-hmm.
wanted to die, like essentially. And when I ended up in the ER, and then they said you need psych, and they enrolled me in therapy. Um, it was through this journey, with my therapist. She would often give me writing assignments and um, make me think about what I would like my future to be. She was really really excellent. That I just started writing this book, what became a book. Essentially, in the beginning, it was just a letter.
Yeah.
I was trying to write myself a letter. Like, it's crazy. I was trying to convince myself that I wasn't a bad kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it came about. Because to backtrack a little bit in the story, um, a few years before my grandmother passed, I'm going to say a year or two, I had a conversation with this family member in which I also told her, it hurt me that you didn't love me. I felt like you didn't love me. And her response to that was, you were supposed to, like, you didn't love me, or something, like you were supposed to love me, and I tried everything, and you were supposed to love me. So that conversation again proved very damaging to me because it like flipped my perspective of what happened.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking about my childhood instead of through my own lens, through her lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking about, because she was, I would say, a gift giver.
Mm-hmm.
So on Christmas there was always a lot of toys. You know, um, Birthdays. There was cake, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but she wasn't kind. So I started looking at it through her lens, and I started thinking, oh, I must have been a really bad kid. I didn't appreciate all the things that she did for me, and so her perspective just led me into this like really bad self-esteem. Like, I started really feeling really bad about being sad that I lost my mom and not appreciating that I had another a family member that bought me gifts, but wasn't loving. So my brain just got all messed up from the conversation. So when I started therapy, it's like the therapist had to work with me to get my self-esteem back,
Yeah.
and to recognize, it wasn't your fault you lost your mom, and your mom died in such a tragic way. My mom was found actually behind a public school building. I mean,
Oh.
so it was a terrible, terrible situation. But because this family member essentially guilted me for being sad and for crying, for not being happy at the birthday cake or whatever, that she did for me, it created this guilt that was just really hard to get out of. And every now and then it still tries to sneak up, but I'm doing much better with it.
Yeah.
Um, but once the therapist worked with me, I thought, man, how can somebody convince a kid that it was their fault that they were sad? Like, once everything started to get more clear to me, I realized how much that didn't make sense.
Right.
And so I decided to write this letter or this book, because I thought, man, there's so many kids out there that are dealing with this type of
Mm-hmm.
psychological, emotional abuse, um, being made to feel guilty that maybe, they've been through bad things, but maybe the adults around them are telling them. Because that was something I heard a lot growing up. Oh, we could have put you in foster care. You could have, like, your life could have been so much worse. And I remember the very first time I went to therapy, the therapist told me, your pain essentially is because nobody acknowledged you.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody ever acknowledged that you were sad because you lost your mom.
Right.
And then the sad part about it is a lot of this suffering that I've experienced could have been avoided if people just took the time to say, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that you're sad. Like, a lot of this like turmoil in the family and this fighting and all these things could have been avoided if there was just an acknowledgement of feelings.
Yeah. Wow, you're a very strong woman. And healing is far from linear. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you still definitely kind of have your ups and you have your downs with it, but overall it's very powerful. But as far as creating this book or writing this book, and also being a caretaker or caregiver to others as being a nurse, I'm sure that helps you heal as well, right? You find that kind of therapeutic in a way.
So it's interesting that you say that because, my grandmother took me when I was 6 months old, and I lived with her my whole entire life until I was 36. So she took care of me as a baby. I took care of her in her old age.
Hmm.
And I say that to say I didn't know a life out of caretaking. My adult life is caretaking. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that was very difficult in therapy was the therapist wanted me to learn how to take care of myself, how to
Mhm.
care for me. And it was like such a foreign concept because I'm a nurse, at work. I'm a caretaker at home.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me to take care of me. Like, I don't even know what that means. I
Yeah.
don't know how to take care. And then also with my other family member, the family member that was abusive, as I got older, I started to recognize, okay, she has some emotional issues.
Hmm.
And so there also was a part of me that wanted to take care of her too,
Hmm.
because I realized that she was very fragile. And the reason why she responded to me the way that she did was because she's very fragile inside. And so there's like this part of me that wants to take care of everybody, everybody, everybody. And it was very difficult to be able to take care of myself. It still is. I still struggle with self care. But I'm trying to get better at it. And the book was so therapeutic in that sense because for the first time it let me sit down with little Jackie
Hmm.
and kind of talk to little Jackie and tell her it's not your fault what happened to you. It's not your
Yeah.
fault how you responded too, because I had a lot of guilt about that. Oh, if only I knew. As an adult, I understand the person who abused me has some issues. I didn't know that as a kid. So sometimes I would be mad at myself, like, oh, if only you knew,
Right.
then you would have responded differently to her.
Yeah.
But, doctor helped me to appreciate it wasn't your job to be responsible for her emotions,
Yeah.
especially as a child, as an adult, but especially as a child.
And Jackie, because you gift yourself to so many people, what do you
Yeah.
do to gift to yourself?
Mm. I'm still writing. So
Mhm.
I developed this self publishing house, and I don't know. There's something just so therapeutic about like these books that I'm writing, just to kind of acknowledge my own pain. Um, and then also I've had to learn how to do basic things like I'm a gift giver naturally too, so I will spend my money to take somebody to lunch, or I've had to learn how to, like, okay, go get your nails done,
Hmm.
go do your hair, it doesn't come naturally to me to treat myself. It comes
Yeah.
naturally to treat others.
Hmm.
So I've had to kind of learn how to do those things. Taking care of my physical health. Um, my health declined after my grandmother passed. And apparently that's kind of common with caretakers because you're so busy, busy, busy taking care of others, and not nurturing your own body. And after she passed away, I had to have surgery. Like, it was like a whole thing that I've never had surgery in my life until she passed. And so trying to do better with also taking care of my physical health too.
Hmm.
Yeah. And trying to make time for exercise. just the basic things that also lifts your spirit.
Right.
Doing exercise and getting those good endorphins.
Yeah, I need to get back on that myself.
Yeah, it's very helpful for your mood. It's very helpful.
Yeah. So, and then you said the publishing house. So tell us
Mhm.
a little bit about that and what you're doing with that currently.
So it's interesting because when I started writing this book, I told my best friend. She was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" And then she decided to write a book. She wrote a book, and then so we're kind of like encouraging each other. So she helped me to learn that when you're an indie author and you make your own books, that you can develop your own publishing name. So
Mhm.
I picked the name, the Resiliency Publishing House, um, because my goal basically is like in these books that I write to be able to relate to other children who have these experiences and who don't feel seen.
Yeah.
Um, one thing that I've learned is that I was fortunate enough to have a grandmother who kind of rolled those waves with me, but a lot of children don't have that. And I just can't imagine going through what I went through without some type of support. And another thing that I realize is sometimes I'll try to explain to people how I feel, and they can't understand, right? Because they grew up with two parents, or they at least they had their mom. So I realized that my situation has given me a unique opportunity to identify with other kids who have, this loss. My second book is almost done,
Mhm.
and that one is dedicated to my mom, and that one is about having a parent that has substance abuse disorder,
Yeah.
and it's been so therapeutic because like another thing that happened in therapy that I didn't realize was, you know, we had we had to go all the way back till I was 7 to
Mhm.
recognize where this pain was coming from. Like even the pain that I have with my other family member is related to like me not having my mom. I mean, like it's so all connected. And so for the first time, I've been able to actually like process my mom's passing, and
Yeah.
it's been like 30 years, and it's crazy. And so writing the second book about dedicated to her has been so like wonderful.
Yeah. Bringing that memory. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also been it's interesting though with these topics because I love my mom. Like one thing I can say about my mom, despite her being addicted to drugs, is like she never was mean to me. Like she never treated me bad.
Mhm.
The other family member may not have been addicted to anything, but she wasn't kind, right? So
Yeah.
so I remember I have this contrast of the two. And so um writing the second book was a little challenging because it's like at the same time I don't want to glorify the life that she had as a drug addict, but at the same time it's like she was a real person who had struggles, who
Yeah.
had a heart, despite being a drug addict. So the second book was a little bit challenging, but I think I was able to accomplish what I wanted. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And what's the name of your publishing house again?
The Resiliency Publishing House.
The resiliency. So, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean if somebody wants to publish their book, they can go through you?
No, no. So it's self-publishing.
Hmm.
So all the books that I am releasing are essentially made by me, but I'm actually working on a project right now. I also started a nonprofit. It's called Help Me Sprout,
Hmm.
after the book. And the purpose of the nonprofit is to reach other kids who had adverse childhood experiences to help them to develop the skills of how to be resilient, because essentially when you have this type of trauma in your life could go left or right depending
Right.
on what factors you have around you.
Hmm.
And so my goal is to help other children to grow resilient. And next summer I'm doing a young writers workshop. So
Hmm.
I'm really excited about that. And so I'm going to have some kids, um, help them to see how writing could be a form of therapy. you know, how using your voice and telling your story um, can help you to grow, to be resilient. And so I look forward to that.
Yeah. And so the name of your book is A Broken Twig Can Sprout.
hmm
And that's just based on childhood trauma, childhood brokenness.
There's a whole story behind that.
Okay.
So when I was in therapy, at the same time that I was in therapy, my friend was. I have a friend that's all into plants. Like her whole apartment is green.
Uh-huh.
And so I went to her house one day, and she was showing me a plant, and she was showing me how to propagate plants.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, she showed me how, you know, you basically take a piece of the plant. And once you take that piece and you put it in the right environment, it will grow into like the whole tree or whatever.
Right.
So I was just like so amazed by that. Like you take a little piece and it'll grow. And so at the same time, I was having therapy. My therapist, I remember having this conversation with her where I told her, I just feel so broken inside. Like, but it was weird because as broken as I felt, I could still feel a little piece of me was still there, a little piece of old Jackie. And she told me, if you feel that, you can make that grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so between those two experiences, I decided to name the book A Broken Twig Can Sprout. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
love that. That is powerful. That is very, very sweet. I like that she said that.
yeah. It was so encouraging to me because I remember thinking when I was having panic and in the ER, it had to be medicated, like all this stuff. I was like, oh my God, my life is over. Like that's how I felt. I just like, and I was so sad, you know, because I have all these dreams and aspirations, and I was like, I'm done, right? And so when she said that, we can get you healthy again, we can help you to grow. It was like so inspiring to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so appreciative. Like she really helped me reprogram my mind from a
Mhm.
negative to positive.
I love
Yeah.
that. And when is your new book due to release
October 15th.
of
Yeah.
this year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be able to. I don't know. My mom, when she passed away, my family didn't do a funeral.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they didn't do a funeral. My grandma was like so old school. She was like, she a drug addict. Ain't nobody coming to this. Ain't nobody coming to this funeral. My grandma was very funny. Like she
Hmm.
would make the most serious stuff. She'll make light of it.
Right.
So they didn't do one. And it didn't bother me growing up. But now that I'm older, it's like I never got to say goodbye to my mom. Like I never like
Hmm.
had anything to like remember her. And so the book has her photo, and a couple of photos of her actually. And so it almost feels like a memorial for her or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just look forward to releasing it so much. And like she doesn't have a grave, a tombstone, like, so I don't know, it just means so much to me to have something with her physical name and
Yeah.
her story, and I'm so happy to do that for her. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And what's the
Yeah.
name of that book that's going to be released?
The name of it,
Yeah.
A Piece of Mama's Heart. Yeah.
That is so sweet. Yes,
Yeah.
that is. That's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. So the book essentially is about how even though you might be separated from your mom or not have had your mom, you always have a piece of her heart with you. So yeah.
That is, a lot of people are going to be able to really learn and enjoy that book. I
I
know
hope
there's a lot of
so.
people that you're going to touch with that book. Absolutely.
I hope so. Yeah. And
But
I want to say, this year, since my grandmother passed away, it's been so much self exploration because I didn't know that you could do this, but I wrote to the city medical examiner
mhm,
and also New York City Police Department FOIL records.
mhm,
And they sent me all of my mom's records. And so for the first time, I'm able to sit down and see and read. Because, of course, my grandma told me what happened, but to actually be able to read the police report and the autopsy report and all these things, it was surreal. So I
Yeah,
really feel like for the first time, I'm really, grieving her.
absolutely. And you
Yeah.
said the FOIL report. What does that mean?
So FOIL, I forgot what the acronym stands for exactly, but
Hmm.
um, it's basically you have access to open records.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like open records that you have access to if you request it, and they just redact, certain, uh, like the person who took my mom's life, they they redacted his date of birth and all that address and all that stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the what happened to her is there. So yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm very appreciative to them. Like they don't even
Yeah.
know, like to the police department, to the city medical examiner. I'm very appreciative that they sent those things to me.
Yeah. Everything's about timing. So
Yeah.
I love that. That's very huge.
Yeah.
Um, so what exactly just are you doing now that just still helps you heal?
What am I doing now? That's a good question. I'm in. I'm so one thing my therapist helped me to appreciate, which I feel like is very important,
Uh-huh.
is to move forward.
Yeah.
Because when I really wasn't doing well, I had the problem of ruminating. So
Hmm.
I would literally just sit by my window and like my brain would just kind of replay the things that happened with my relative, my grandma passing away, and it kept me like frozen, like it kept me like stuck, and I couldn't move forward. And so, eventually she kind of graduated me from therapy, and I was really sad about that. I was very sad about that.
Uh-huh.
I see her only as on a need, like a PRN, a need basis. But she said, "There's no need for you to come regularly every week. It's time for you to to live your life." First, like I said, I was a little mad, but I see the truth in what she's saying.
Hmm.
So I enrolled in grad school.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, I enrolled in grad school, and like I said, it's been 16 years since I graduated from undergrad school, and I never like taking care of my grandma and stuff. I never thought about going back to school, you
Hmm.
know. And so now I'm in a doctorate program, and so
Awesome.
that's very exciting. And now I keep myself busy with the nonprofit and the writing, and I have really good friends.
Yeah.
One of the things of the book, also a broken twinkle sprout, is that you might not have, the person that you want,
Hmm.
right? Your immediate family to give you that love and support. But there are other people there that are cheering for you,
Yeah.
So I try to shift my focus and pay attention to the ones who have always been there,
Right.
who have always been there watching me cry and listening to me and never getting tired.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of prayer. A lot of
Yes.
prayer.
That
A
always
lot of
helps.
prayer. Yeah, there was nights when I was sitting here by the window, literally on my knees and crying. Like I thought I was gonna die. Like,
Hmm.
just please don't let me die. I remember just praying, like, please, like I just want to live. I want to give my life to you. Like, so I would definitely have to say that keeps me going. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love hearing that. And
Yeah.
Jackie, tell the viewers what is the name of your websites?
So for the books, it's resiliencyhouse.org. Resiliency could be a little tricky to spell, but resiliencyhouse.org. And then the nonprofit is helpmesprout.org.
Helpmesprout.org.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also going to list those in the show notes as well. But is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Um. So right now, something that my brain. So I'm so excited because when you have traumatic experiences, it like I said, it could freeze you, right? And so now that I'm kind of like unfrozen, my brain is constantly thinking of new ideas and new things to do and how to help the kids and how to move forward. And so recently, I came up with this idea of the Haven.
Hmm.
And what the Haven is essentially will be a community space where kids will be able to come to after school on the weekend. I wanted to create a safe place where they could go if they don't have a supportive family, you know, if they don't have support at home. Um, Oftentimes, what I kind of realized in my life, what has been a theme of my life is if you have the right support, you will be okay.
Yeah.
That literally makes all the difference. Like, and besides my grandmother, I've always had teachers
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, were cheering for me. In nursing school, the dean of my program, she was so good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then even at my job, you know, when my grandmother passed away, um, you know, at the same time I got a new manager, and my manager had just lost her mom, I think maybe like 2 years before my grandma passed away. So she was really able to help me through the grief process.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't even know where I would be without her support. And so this theme of my life, of others helping me sprout, you know, I kind of want to pay forward because, you know, having those healthy relationships will really make all the difference. And so I say that to say I'm trying to create this space, the Haven, you know, a place where kids can come after school. And I want to invite others in the community to volunteer too, particularly older ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because I live with my grandmother, I have really a soft spot for the
Yeah.
older ones and the wisdom that they could give you, and that
Absolutely.
the grounding really that they could give you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I think the reason why some of this stuff from my family member didn't really affect me so much when she was alive was because my grandmother would be like, "Oh, who cares what she said?" You know,
Yeah.
she really kept me like grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to create this space where maybe the older ones in the community could come encourage the littles. And so that's a project that I'm working on right now, and it will be, you know, a part of the nonprofit. So anybody who's interested is free to donate, you know, at helpmesprout.org, or resiliencyhouse.org also has a donate button.
Okay. And then also, where exactly are you located, if you
So
don't mind?
I'm in Long Island City, Queens. And
Okay.
so yeah. And
Okay.
so I'm looking into some spaces that are right in this area. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And if there was a piece of information or any type of advice that you could give, what would it be?
My favorite thing to tell people now is it's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really carry that. Like, I really carry that. And I think one reason why I carry that was because I'm emotionally intelligent. And so because I'm emotionally intelligent, I have so much empathy and sympathy, and I feel for everyone essentially, right? But when you're a big feeler like that, you could take on other people's problems and their pain. And, you know, to anyone who was not treated well as a child, like, it wasn't your job to take care of them. It wasn't your job to, as a kid, to always be good so they could treat you right. Like, so yeah, so just know that you are loved, and
Mm-hmm.
you didn't do anything ever to be mistreated, but be a child. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. So that's kind of my message to people.
Yeah, I love that. And then just, you said to you take on people's pain.
Yeah, like, so this family member that, you know, was abusive to me, like I said, when we had that conversation, and she said, "Well, I was sad because you didn't love me."
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, you know, like, I was like, "Oh my God, you know, I didn't make her feel loved." My brain was like so messed up. They really had to work with me in therapy to say, like, but it wasn't your job to love her.
Yeah.
If anything, it was quite the opposite. It was her job to make you feel loved and nurtured and cared for.
Yeah.
And so it just really messed up my brain, because then I thought, well, she was affected by my mom's death too. You know, it just, my brain was messed up. And so I had to learn not to carry other people's pain. Like, she may have been affected by my mother's passing, but it didn't give her an excuse to mistreat me.
Yeah, that's, and I
Yeah.
feel that a lot of people who experience a lot of pain, especially childhood pain, they become absorbers of other people's pain
Yeah.
instead of observing, right? It's like we can hear it, observe it, but we absorb it. And I think that's the part that it just takes lifelong healing
I know.
to not take it on and just carry it and carry other people's pain.
Right. Because it's like, in a way, you kind of wish if you could fix them, then maybe they would
Right.
have been kind to you. But
Yeah.
that's where the "it's not your fault" comes in.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, it's not your fault. It
Yeah.
took so much therapy. Like, I'm just very grateful to. I'm definitely team therapy now. Like, because when I was younger, people had recommended therapy before as a young adult, and I was like, oh no, I thought like it meant I wasn't well or wasn't, but no, like it was very much needed to help me to process the things that have happened.
Good. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. My
Yeah.
friend said you made me a believer because
Yes.
I was
Therapy
so I was
definitely
so
helps.
sick. I was so mentally unwell, and then once I was able to get through it, they're like, "Wow, you made me a believer in therapy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And is your therapy in person or is it online?
So it happened during my grandma passed during COVID, so all the therapy was online telehealth.
Online.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good. It's still,
yeah,
at the end of the day, it still helps. So any way that you can grasp that therapy,
yeah.
it's all gonna help.
And I thank them at the back of the book because I just would not have. I know that I would not have survived if I didn't get help. So I thank my therapist at the back of the A Broken Twig Can Sprout.
Oh, well,
I would not have survived. Yeah,
that is good.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie, for taking time out and coming on and speaking with me today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed our conversation.
No problem at all. And thank you, listeners. Again, I'm Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. Everyone, stay blessed.